Good morning. I'm trying to get the lid on this thing. Okay. um, Happy Monday. Hope you had a good weekend and a good holiday. I had a good Christmas. Uh, too much, too much food, too many treats. Um, yeah, it really things get out of hand, right? People give you things and you have things, and there's so many sweet things to eat, and you want to try everything, and then you're very sorry that you did later. uh, it's it's our nature, I think, to overdo things, and um, that's true about everything, right? We do it with uh, food and drink, and um, you know playing around, like uh, watching too much TV, or um, playing video games, or whatever it is that we like to do. It's hard to contain that in a reasonable space. We tend to overdo. Um, and, when we have holidays or vacations or things like that, it's very easy to sort of convince ourselves that it's okay. Just go and enjoy, right? and and there is enjoyment, right? There's definitely enjoyment to be had um, in the moment, but then there's frequently regret after the fact, right? We've eaten too many sweets and rich foods, and we don't feel very good. We stay up too late, uh, watching too much TV, um, and physically that can make you feel not great, but also mentally, right? You feel kind of overstimulated, um, or maybe just kind of um, too much, right? Too much input. um, and staying up late to watch TV and stuff like that also makes it hard to sleep sometimes, right? We have a hard time getting settled after all of that information, right? Good morning, Dora, and good morning, Sandra. Yeah, I did have a very good holiday. Everyone was here, which is very nice. All of my family who's living here, right? No one else. But my brother and his family usually come, but they stayed home, but they lived right down the street, so I just dropped some stuff off to them, and also found out my neighbor is sick, and has COVID. So I made some food and put it in a box and set it over at their house as well. I had to be careful though, because the last time I tried to take them food, I had a bag of cookies. They had given me dried dried sour cherries, which are delicious. If you ever get dried sour cherries, um, get them, because you can just eat them. If you like cherries, and sour cherries in particular, um, they're sweetened enough that you can eat them, but they're still kind of sour, which is really nice. So I made some oatmeal cookies with sour cherries, which were delicious, and I left them in a Ziploc bag on their front steps on their porch, and by the time they got out to get them, the squirrels had taken them. In fact, the squirrels had taken them, eaten the entire bag, and just left the bag floating around. So we have a lot of squirrels around here. Apparently, very well fed, um, but also quite hungry. And yeah, I've got a big bird feeder a couple of bird feeders in my side yard, and they're frequently there. So yeah, so these the cookies were in a squirrel proof box this time, so nothing would get taken. Um, good morning, Rachel. Um, yeah, so that was sort of my holiday. Um, I'm glad Rachel's here. Rachel, so my friend Rachel Scott, I was over at her house and she gave me some vegan food, which was delicious. And apparently, January is veganuary, right? So, you know how they have these months where they want you to try different things. I don't know who they are, but the internet wants you to try wants you to try new things. So the idea is to try vegan, to be vegan for the month of January. I don't know if I'm all in on that, but I'm going to give it a try to some extent. Um, and you might want to as well. It's a good. Um, uh, what I like about vegan is it wants you to think outside the box, right? Think beyond what you think of as a meal. I think we in our culture tend to downplay vegetables, and we don't think of them as a real meal. Um, we don't really have that culture of beans, like sort of the beans and rice bowl um, is not, sort of typically American food. I mean, there are cultural groups that is sort of a good mainstay of their food, but I think um, typical American food, if you grew up with a plate of meat, vegetables, and starch, when you take away the meat, what are you left with? It doesn't seem like an actual meal. We forget that there are other things you can bring in, and you can put a sauce, or you can do something that makes it a little more exciting and a little more um, complete, right? It makes us feel like it is a complete meal. So, looking to some other cultures for some guidelines on this, there are a lot of cultures where vegetarian food is the norm, um, and that meat and animal products were consumed very sparingly, um, because they weren't always available. And um, that's perhaps how it should be, right? Not maybe never having animal products, but giving them putting them in a place of respect, that we know what it takes to get them, and that they really should not be consumed heedlessly, right? They should be part of a uh, using it in a kind of a respectful and sort of small way, um, with the bulk of our diet being a bit more vegetable heavy. um, but yeah, it can be hard, right? It can be hard to figure this out. So, um, if anybody's interested, Rachel sent me a link to the website that had, some information about this, and they have recipes and they have some suggestions of different things to try. So, if you're interested, send me an email and I will send you that link. Um, I think it's just helpful to sort of broaden your horizons. Health wise, we know that reducing your meat intake, reducing your dairy intake can be very helpful for people, especially who have issues like high cholesterol, high blood pressure. Some of these things that develop as we age, I think, quite honestly, um, some of this stuff that comes about is because as we age, our bodies are just less efficient at using the food that we give it. So what you could tolerate as a young person, you can't really, at some point your body goes, nope, I'm not gonna eat that stuff anymore. I'm rebelling. I'm gonna give you heartburn. I'm gonna give you problems. Stop feeding me all that junk. So as we age, I think we have to kind of clean up our diet a little bit, just to help our body function better. Um, and you know, it's a it's a good practice, right? We talk about being aware and not doing things mindlessly, right? And with food, that can be um, a very important thing, right? So thinking how you can do things in a way that will help your body, help the environment, um, all of these things, it's possible to kind of work all of these things together. But you have to figure out what level of this works for you. Not everybody is going to be um, ready for everything at the same time. Um, Not everybody, you know, and there are people who say, well, I don't like vegetables. Well, if you say that to me, I will say you haven't had the right vegetables yet. you haven't you haven't had them cooked in a good way. You haven't had them presented to you in a way that is palatable. But it takes time. And in Ayurveda, we speak a lot about this idea of you need a relationship with your food. So you may not like Indian food, right? You may say, "Oh, I don't like that." I don't. You may not like. Um, so I'm trying to think of cultures that have a deep sort of vegetarian um, tradition, and so a lot of the the Far East, Southeast Asia, India, Mexico, and South America. I mean, a lot of these places rely on sort of this beans and rice, right? Beans and rice. Nepal is, they call it dal bhat, and it's dal is bean soup, like a really thin bean soup, and bhat is rice. So that is the mainstay. You eat some beans and rice, and then you have some little vegetable dishes to go with it, whatever is available. Um, a large part of the population of the world eats like this. And it is nutritious, and it is inexpensive, and very sustainable. So it might be worth giving it a try. Maybe not every day, but try it someday and see what you think. Um, this relationship that we build with food is something that doesn't happen overnight, right? Culturally, other people in the world have grown up eating this way. So they are familiar with the spices, they're familiar with the tastes and the textures. We are not so much. Maybe we grew up eating something completely different. Um, so you have to kind of educate ourselves, educate our palate and our taste buds, introducing some new things and trying them a couple times, trying them in a couple different ways. If you don't like it this way, maybe you like it this way. Um, and see how it goes. There may be some things you really, really hate, and you can avoid them and move on to something else. But it's good to keep trying. I've noticed that every few years, my tastes kind of change. So things that I really enjoyed a few years ago, I don't care for so much now. So in as much as everything changes, so do your tastes, your likes, your dislikes. Um, Trying to do the same thing now that you did 10 years ago wouldn't be appropriate, right? You may be living a completely different life. Why would you be eating the same food? It wouldn't make sense. So be open to change, be open to trying something new, and see where it goes. All right. So this is a good time to think about it after, especially if you ate a lot of cookies, like I did. Too many cookies. My kids gave me both of my kids gave me like 2 bags of candy, like this type of candy that I like, and I'm like, oh, that's great, but did you have to give me a bag of it? How about like one? That would have been fine. So it's like Halloween around here again. I'm gonna have to like put like a bowl of candy and stick it out and hope that people will come and take it. And this is a rough year because normally I could give all this stuff to Dave to take to work, and I can't do that anymore. So we're just stuck with all this food in the house. So this is a good time to think about, you don't have to eat it all. You can get rid of it, right? After a few days, it's probably stale, not looking that good. Just just let it go. Um, my husband developed this habit when the kids were young of I I call it being the garbage can, right? So he would eat food off the kids' plates. He would eat the leftovers, right? That was like his job. He felt like it was his job to like consume this stuff because, you'd make something for the kids that they really wanted. They'd have 2 bites. And then there'd be a whole pot of whatever it was, and nobody wanted to eat it. So he figured it was his job. But you know, I said, you don't need to be the garbage can, right? You can, if you don't like it or it's not good for you, just get rid of it. I do, and I understand people do have bias and feelings about wasting food, and in a world where there are people who go hungry, I understand that. But again, you consuming that food isn't going to help the people who are going hungry, right? The way to help them is to donate to your food bank, to make sure that you can give money to organizations that are helping to feed people. There are really good concrete ways to do that. Eating that huge pot of whatever it is that's kind of weird and you don't like, that's not right. That becomes some sort of punishment, right? A penance for having so much when others have so little, and that is certainly not a healthy way to look at your food. So if it's not good, toss it. Um, if it's not, if it's relatively healthy, you might be able to put it out for the birds. If we have old bread and things, I put that out for the birds. I've seen um, other animals come and eat it. Squirrels will eat it. Um, I certainly give a lot of scrap food to my chickens. If you don't have chickens, you're out of luck on that. But you may know somebody that has chickens. My neighbors bring me leftover salad things and stuff like that for the birds. So there are other ways to use that food besides eating it. If you compost, right? Composting is great. I kind of cut right through the composting and go straight to the chickens. But if you compost, you can put a lot of your scrap food in that and use that to help your garden and things. So um, there are other things to do with it besides eating it. You don't have to eat it all. And mainly, you don't have to eat things you don't like, right? Um, I think I know I have certainly been in this capacity where you think you have this thing and it's not that great, but you put in a lot of effort and time to make it, so people should eat it or you should eat it. Nah, if it's not good, then too bad. It's not good. You don't like it, let it go. Um, there's nothing. Um, there's nothing that you have to eat that you don't like, right? Um, it should be certainly health, trying to eat for your health, but also eating something that you like. There's always a way to make those two things um, work together. All right. So all this talking about eating, now I feel hungry, but let's do some asana, and then we can have um, breakfast or or brunch or something. So for Christmas breakfast, we always make this sort of egg casserole that's like bread and cheese and eggs and milk. So you sort of make a custard, and you layer the bread and the cheese, pour that over top, and let it sit overnight, and then you bake it in the morning. And we've been making that every year. My mom started making it at some point when I was a kid, and so we do that every year. And it's one of those things that we've tried making it other years, other times in the year, and it just doesn't taste the same. Nobody wants it. They only ever want it at Christmas. But it's terribly unhealthy, and it just sits like a rock in my stomach. But I eat it anyway because that's it's part of Christmas for me. Um, so this is the first year. So my brother wasn't going to be here, so I gave him the recipe so he could make it for himself. But then I talked to him about it, and he said that he didn't want to follow the directions, and he thought, well, what if I just mixed it all up, the liquid, and put it in the bottom of the bowl or the baking thing, and then put all the bread and cheese on top of it. And he's like, so I did that, and it kind of soaked in, but the top was very dry. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's why you pour it over top, because it's supposed to go, oh, yeah, I didn't want to do that. I just, So I thought, oh my God, what is this? What's going to happen to this boy, right? His Christmas food is going to be ruined. So he put it in the fridge and took it out and cooked. And he said it was fine. It turned out exactly the same. So, so there you go. Just because you try something different in a different way, it doesn't mean that you aren't going to get perfectly good results. I did not believe that. I thought for sure that casserole was ruined, but it turned out great. So don't be afraid to try something different. It never would have occurred to me to try that because I've just always done it the same way. So, trying something new. Hang your head down, chin down toward the chest. Relax. Moving around, big circle. One way and the other. Back up. Let's bring the arms wide. Take a deep breath. And then on the exhale, bring your hands together. Stuff is. I was hiding presents up here, and then everything got put up on the couch here. Inhale wide. Exhale, fold. Inhale. Exhale. And then once more. Inhale. And exhale. Interlace the fingers, lift the hands, gaze up. Arms down by your side. Inhale, lift. And lower. Lift. And lower. Once more, lifting up. Right hand down, reach across with the left. Switch. And back up. Lift the shoulders, roll back. Once, and then moving forward. Left hand on right knee, right arm behind you. Sit up tall. Take a twist. Back to center and moving the other way. and back to center. Um, Bring the hands on the knees. We're going to do a seated cat-cow. So we're leaning forward, pulling the shoulders back, gazing up, pulling back the belly, shoulders come forward, head comes down, we're leaning back. Inhale, exhale. Inhale and exhale. Once more. Inhale and exhale. And then back up. Let's bring the left hand up overhead. We're going to kind of put that elbow on the crease of the elbow, sort of as close to the top of the head as you can. Bring the hand down on the chin, or not the chin. You're not going to reach the chin. I'm not reaching the chin. I don't think anyone could reach the chin. But the cheek, right? Or the ear even. And we're just pulling gently. So you want to be careful with this, not, really wrenching the neck, just putting some gentle pressure. And then back up. Switch sides. So it's good with asana to kind of ease your way back into it. I haven't done anything all weekend, so I did some walking, but no asana. So, and then back up. You want to kind of ease back into it. So taking a few days off from yoga is great. It's a good idea. It gives you a chance to kind of rest and recharge. Sometimes every day is a bit much. It gives you a chance to kind of evaluate what's going on with the body. You may start to feel like the need to move, the need of yoga, which is a good feeling, right? To know why you're doing it because of how you feel. And it's also a good thing because you get into this routine where you're like, well, yoga, whatever, I'm just doing it. When you haven't done it for a while, you will start to miss it. And then when you do it, it will feel so good in your body that you go, why did I ever take a break? Why did I stop doing this? I should absolutely get right back to doing it. So it's a good reminder of why we do this. Right? Let's bring the soles of the feet together, sitting up tall, and fold a little bit. Come on back up. Let's pull the shoulders back and gaze up. And then fold forward again. Come on back up, extend both legs. Deep breath in, arms overhead, fold forward. You might have a little bend in the knee if things are tight this morning. Back up, that's point and flex. And then rotating the ankles one way and the other. You can barely see my toes, but you know what I'm doing, right? And then let's bend the right knee. So we're going to hug that in close, sitting up tall, and then lowering the knee out to the side. So you've got that right foot in close by the left thigh. Take a deep breath. And then we're leading with the chest, reaching forward, the left hand, fold. Moving back up. Let's switch. Sitting up tall, and then lowering the leg out to the side. Take a deep breath and fold. Moving back up, both legs out in front. Take a deep breath, fold. And then back up. Let's bend the knees. We're going to catch a hold of the toes or tops of the feet. Lean back a little, finding your balance. And then some extension. Breathe. If you feel stable, you might try bringing the legs wider, sitting up tall. And then everything back down to the mat. Let's bring the legs wide again. The knees wide. Soles of the feet together, lean forward. and back up. Soles of the feet to the mat. We're going to lower down, rock back, resting on your back. Take a few breaths, letting everything kind of flatten out, settle down here. And then let's hug this right knee into the chest. Left leg is long. When you're ready, we're lowering the knee out to the side. And kind of support that with the right hand. And then let's bring that knee back to center, drawing it across the body, rolling up on that left hip. And then back to center, switch. So we're extending right leg, hugging in the left. Lowering down, out to the side. Back up. Draw that left leg over for a twist. And then back to center. Extend both legs long. Maybe 5-pointed star here. Take a few breaths. So twists in general are just very good. They kind of wring everything out in the body. They also help stimulate digestion and kind of just moving all that stuff through the body. So if you're ever feeling kind of like over full, a little bloated after you eat, I wouldn't do it right after a meal, right? But give yourself a little time to digest, and then some gentle twists can really help kind of get everything moving. And then bend the knees again, soles of the feet to the mat. Right ankle on left knee. You can stay here or bringing that left leg in. rest the foot down. We're going to keep that right ankle on top of the left knee and extend the arms to a T or goalpost arms, and then lowering that left knee down, and the right foot is going along with it. And then switching, let's bring that right leg in. And set the foot down, goalpost arms or arms to a T, lowering. So when we're doing twists like this, if you find you have trouble keeping this, the opposite side shoulder down, try gazing away from the twist. That helps to kind of keep the upper body more stable on the mat. And then back up, both feet down, and let's bump the knees together. The feet go to the outer edges of the mat, and just let the lower back relax here. Keep breathing. We're gonna then bring the knees into the chest. Rock a little side to side. Then hands by your side, extend the legs long. When you're ready, lowering however you want. And finding a comfortable place for Shavasana. Keep breathing, settling down onto the mat, letting our hold on everything loosen. So we're just letting our body rest on the mat. Loosening our awareness of what's going on, right? So letting go of that focus, um, working within, finding that calm space inside, and allowing the thoughts to just move. Notice that they arise and let them go. So the thoughts that we generate um, are very natural, right? That is the nature of our mind, to generate thoughts, to put together all that information that we take in, all of the inputs. Our mind is making sense of that, is trying to um, let us know what we need. We can't really stop that process. Right? We may pause briefly, but it starts right back up again. So rather than try to hold back this unchanging, or I should say, like just this force. I mean, we have this energy of thought that will just keep going. We can fight against it, we can struggle. A lot of times people have trouble with meditation because they think that that is our our goal is to eliminate all thoughts. And that's not at all our goal, right? Our goal is to eliminate our attachment to the thoughts so we can watch them pass through. Um, the thoughts that we have are all kinds of things. We have good thoughts, we have mean thoughts, we have helpful thoughts, we have unkind thoughts. Um, what matters is which thoughts do we hold on to? Do we absorb the negative thoughts and hold them tight? Or do we notice them and let them go? It's our choice which one is going to reside within us. Right? Which are we going to invite to stay? During meditation, we don't invite any of them. We turn them out equally because we want a peaceful and quiet space. We want an empty room. But in our normal life, you might think of your consciousness as a room with a lot of seats, an auditorium, maybe, right? And we choose what we want to fill those seats. Right? Do we want loud, disruptive, destructive people sitting in our audience? Or do we want peaceful, positive, friendly, kind thoughts? Um, we build our internal structure on our thoughts. So they better be good ones. They better be what we want. Right? And it is our choice. Um, we may not be able to choose the thoughts that arise because, again, our thoughts are a product of our environment, of our upbringing, of our way of seeing things. And those things we may not be able to change right now. I'm not going to say we can't, but that takes a lot more work. The first step is to understand that it is our choice which thoughts we hold, which thoughts we let go of. And then put that into action. A lot of us have bad habits, right? We might nurse these grudges when someone says something unkind to us or does something unkind. We hold that inside. We go over it again and again. We think of different things we might have said or different ways to handle the situation. I should have told them this. I should have done this. We give small things huge importance. Right? In our minds, maybe we blow up something that was thoughtless, just a simple thoughtless act that someone did. What if we didn't do that? What if we acknowledged that it happened and moved on? What if instead we held on to those beautiful things that people do, the kindness, the thoughtfulness, and we kind of amplified those? We went over and over with that thought and instead thought, how could we do something like that? What could we do that was kind, that was helpful? It really is that simple, but also that hard, right? There's a discipline to it. We we have to draw ourselves out of that feeling of self pity, maybe, or injury, right? Um, there is um, there is it becomes a habit, right? There are people, and I know you know them, who they are kind of a professional victim, right? Everything goes wrong for them. Every story they have is about the terrible thing that happened to them or their friend or the world, or they're a catalog of woe. And they almost seem to take an enjoyment in it. It is their way of communicating. They are sort of the harbinger of doom, the bearer of bad tidings. Um, I mean, some people probably this is how they get through life, and I'm sorry that that is the case because it feels very negative. It feels like a very bad way to be. Um, but again, that is the habit that they've gotten into. They could just as easily be that bearer of good tidings. They could have a good story about everyone that they've met. They could tell you all of the nice things that have happened to them, um, or that they've heard have happened to other people. There is there is not one nor the other. Both are happening. But our choice is which one are we going to promote? Which one are we going to um, bring out and share with others? Um, we know what we like. Right? We know that we don't like to feel scared. We don't like to feel unhappy or negative. So why would we ever want to share that feeling with someone else? Why would we tell someone a story that would be destined to do that to them, give them those feelings? Be careful what you share. Be careful um, what you promote. Um, the actions, our actions and our words have consequences. They have a ripple effect. And often we don't see that right away, but it builds like a snowball, right? An unkind word, a rude action. It starts a chain of events, and it gets big down at the end, right? So we can stop that. We can start a big um, positive snowball, right? Um, doing our part to try to keep things more positive. It doesn't mean we don't know that there are negative things going on. Believe me. Um, how could you not? Right? Um, but we don't have to be um, the herald of woe. We can be um, the herald of good things. So moving a bit, oops, fingers and toes, hands and feet. Make your way up to a seat. Take your time. My clock here, I think, is wrong. So I'm looking at the laptop here, and we've run over a little bit, but that's all right. We're on vacation, right? Aren't we? Sort of. Let's bring hands together. Breath in and breath out. Thank you for taking time today for yoga and for sharing it with me. I hope you have a great Monday. Namaste. Okay, great. So let's sit up for a short meditation if you have time. Um, you have time. It's only 5 minutes. Who doesn't have 5 minutes? It just feels like more. Some days it definitely feels like more. So, comfortable seat, relaxed breath, holding that light awareness. So, not a strong focus, but just quiet awareness. Close the eyes, keep breathing. Okay. Back. Welcome back to regular awareness. Take a couple of breaths, and we're here again. Hi, Ruth. I'm sorry I didn't see you earlier. Come in. So enjoy your Monday. I don't know if you have this week off or if it just feels like this, this kind of like this week, the end of the year, the time between Christmas and New Year's is kind of a good time for kind of wrapping things up. I saw one of my neighbors already threw their Christmas tree out by the curb, so they're really just they're done with Christmas, and they're on. We usually try to keep ours till the 6th of January, so the end of the Christmas season, so to speak. But at the rate that we're dropping pine needles, I'm not sure that's going to happen. It's looking very dry this year. So we'll see how long it goes. But enjoy this time at the end of the year. It's a great time to kind of look back and take stock of this year and moving into the next. And yeah, send me an email if you want a link to that vegan January thing. And try not to eat all the cookies. Eat one, but save some for tomorrow. And I will be back tomorrow. We're gonna have a regular week. I won't, I'm gonna probably do the same thing. Take Friday, Saturday off, and for the New Year's Eve thing, because I got to stay up and drink some champagne. I just have to. So that'll be what I'm doing on Friday, I guess. Or wait, Thursday. No, Friday I will be sleeping in after that. All right. Enjoy your day.